The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew.
Glory to you, Lord.
The 11 disciples went to Galilee, to the mountain to which Jesus had ordered them. When they all saw him, they worshipped, but they doubted. Then Jesus approached and said to them, "All power in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Go, therefore, and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe all that I have commanded you. And behold, I am with you always until the end of the age." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord.
Well, my friends, it's that time of year. It's the time for pomp and circumstance. It's a time for gowns and robes. It's a time for long-winded speeches about the future, about hope. It's graduation season. It's graduation season. And it's the end of an era then for many students who are graduating. And given that it is graduation season, well, it's made me reflect a little bit about the days leading up to when I graduated college many, many years ago. I was with my friend, either with my friends or alone, and I would be, late into the night just thinking about my college experience. I'd think about the friends that I had made. I'd think about this bicycle journey I did across the country. I thought about falling in love again, not with basketball this time. Talking about cramming for exams, for finals, trips to In-N-Out and pizza at 2 a.m., and of course, classes. And somehow managed to pass the classes, and how I did so, that's as mysterious as the Trinity, I think. But when I think about all of that, it was a very profound and very formative and very life-giving experience, my whole college experience, even though I didn't know it at the time. But then reflecting on it, at that time, I would think about it and I would ask myself in one way or another, did anything so great ever happen before? Did anything so great ever happen before? In today's first reading, Moses and the Israelites, they're on a journey as well. And in the middle of this journey, Moses recounts to the Israelites all the wonderful and great and amazing things that God had done for them up until that point on the journey. How God had encountered them in the fire, and how they remained alive, how they lived. How God had made himself known to the Israelites through the signs and wonders, and how they had come to belief. And then, of course, how God had rescued them from slavery in Egypt, bringing them from a place of death and darkness into a place of light and into a place of life. So for the Israelites, this was a very profound, a very formative, a very life-giving experience for them. And Moses, of course, having known that, well, he asks the Israelites that same question. Did anything so great ever happen before? Now, maybe if all of you reflect for a moment, you can probably think of a time in your life or an experience you had where you thought of something similar. It could be an experience of awe and wonder that left you amazed, an experience of joy and hope, an experience that could have been an encounter with God, or maybe how God made himself known to you through signs and wonders, or maybe a time when you were low and despairing and God brought you out of that into a place of hope and into a place of life. And the fact of the matter is that those moments, they manifest themselves in many different ways. It could be a long experience like I had when I was in college, or it could have been a moment you had maybe in your career, or a moment or a long period of time with your family. But also they happen in short moments as well. Maybe it was a retreat that you experienced that. Maybe it was a vacation with family and friends, or just even a short dinner. Something where you felt that encounter of God, that moment. And those often happen, those moments where you feel that encounter of God. I think all of us recently had that experience where we journeyed with God. That journey started back in Lent, where we wandered through the desert with Jesus for 40 days. Then afterwards, during Holy Week, we entered Jerusalem triumphantly with Jesus. And a few days afterwards, we sorrowfully followed him to the cross. But then from Easter to Pentecost, we journeyed from outside of the upper room over to Emmaus, up to Galilee, rejoicing with the resurrected Jesus. We rejoiced with the resurrected Jesus for 50 days. So we celebrated from Lent to Holy Week to Easter. We were with Jesus with his most important, most significant moments of his life. So we too can ask that question: did anything so great ever happen before? Did anything so great ever happen before? And that journey that we took lasted just about 100 days back on February 14th, Ash Wednesday. 100 days. Kind of a long time if you think about it. And that number 100, well, it's been on my mind for a while, 100. July 1st, 2022, I started serving here at Blessed Sacrament just about 100 weeks ago. Us Jesuits, we've been here for just over 100 years ago. And as I begin to think about that time ending, my 100 weeks ending, our time for over 100 years ending here, with the pomp and the circumstance, with the gowns and the robes, with the long-winded speeches, well, it's kind of like graduation in a sense. It's kind of like an end of an era. It's the end of an era in a sense. So, of course, it's made me reflect on our time here, how we've encountered God through the masses, through baptisms, weddings and funerals, Sunday fellowship, encounters with one another. It's made me reflect on how God has made himself manifest and made himself known to us through the friends that we've made here, through the people we've met, through the community that we've built up. And then also, I've been reflecting on how God has rescued us from moments of despair and death and darkness into moments of light and life through those times that were challenging. So reflecting on these past 100 days from Lent to Pentecost, reflecting on these 100 years, I'm left with another question that's kind of at the back of my mind as well, thinking about all that. And that question is, so what? So what? What does it matter? What's the difference? Well, what makes it matter is our response. What makes it matter is our response. That's the difference, my friends. Because after any type of journey, after any type of experience that is profound, that is formative, that is life-giving, a response is necessary. And we get that response in today's gospel. In today's gospel, we read from the end of Matthew. And the disciples and Jesus, they had just finished this amazing journey with Jesus. For 3 years, they had been following him. They had been witnesses to all of Jesus' miracles, to his teachings. They had been witnesses to his death and resurrection, and they're at the end of this spiritual journey. And then Jesus gives them the correct response. And therefore, Jesus gives us the correct response to any time we have an amazing experience that's profound. And that's for all of us here. And it's short, and it's simple, and it's straightforward. And it's actually God's last commandment. And it's this: go. Go. Go and proclaim the gospel and baptize and make disciples in all the nations. Go. For us here as a community at Blessed Sacrament, that means go and worship God. Go and form disciples. Go and embrace all people. Go and bring the graces that you have earned here and been given here and bring it out into the world. Go and live the gospel. Because in doing so, that's what makes all of this matter. That's the difference. So my friends, go. Go and live the gospel, bring the gospel to this world. In doing so, you make Jesus present and real in that world. And in doing so, you give others the experience where they will say, did anything so great ever happen before? That's Jesus' last commandment to us. So my friends, go. Go.